Joining us now is the chairman of the Republican National Committee, Michael Whatley, joining us from Charlotte. Chairman Whatley, welcome and thank you.
Good to join you, Chris.
Okay, now I have been made privy to some focus group work that was done with debate viewers. And there is no question that they were alarmed by the incumbent's performance. But I didn't see any movement in Trump's direction. Would it be fair to say that Joe Biden lost the debate, but Donald Trump did not win it?
No, President Trump hit every mark that he needed to do. He spent his time on stage defending his record and laying out his vision going forward, what he's going to do over the next 4 years to try and solve the multiple crises that Joe Biden has unleashed over the last 4 years.
Okay, now I want you to listen to a little bit of your party's presumptive nominee from the debate.
You look at the cost of food, where it's doubled and tripled and quadrupled. The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants. We have the largest deficit with China. I gave you the largest tax cut in history.
Okay, all of those statements were false, and we could have pulled more. As the debate went on, you could see the former president taking bigger swings. Now, in my experience, winning campaigns run like they're losing. Is overconfidence and indiscipline a problem at what is still an early stage of this race?
No, look, we feel very confident about where we are right now. We feel very comfortable that the American people are responding to President Trump's message, and they are not responding to the situation that they're living every single day. Inflation has been absolutely rampant. There's no question. Gasoline prices are up 55%. Grocery prices are up 20%. It costs twice as much to buy a home today as it did 4 years ago. This is the experience of every family living across the country. And they also know that because President Biden invited 10 million, 15 million, 20 million illegal immigrants to come across the southern border, every state right now is a border state. We've seen fentanyl deaths up, and we've seen the pressure that this has put on every single system. These are the experiences of every family in America and the experience of every voter in America.
Okay, the former president had this to say about the talk among Democrats about replacing President Biden. So listen to this.
Many people are saying that after last night's performance that Joe Biden is leaving the race. But the fact is, I don't really believe that, because he does better in polls than any of the Democrats they're talking about.
Okay, but some of these other folks that you see here are very popular in their states, and they have a lot of room to grow. When you look at people like the governor of Colorado, governor of Pennsylvania, governor of Kentucky, Michigan, California, they're not very well known nationally, but they're very popular at home, and there's a lot of up space for them. Is Donald Trump right that Joe Biden would be the hardest of the Democrats to beat?
Well, first off, they're not going to be able to get him out without his consent. There is no process that would allow for them to have an insurgency and remove him from their convention unless he's going to step down, and we certainly don't see any indication of that coming out of his conversations over the last couple days. Secondly, not a single one of those Democrats is going to put a different proposal on the stage than what Joe Biden has proposed. None of them are going to have different policy positions. All of them are going to double down on all of the same policies that Joe Biden has unleashed on America. They believe in an open border, they believe in inflationary spending, and they believe in a weak America around the world.
Would you rather have Joe Biden or Kamala Harris?
You know, for us, it doesn't matter. We are going to run our race. As we saw in the debate, President Trump is going to hit his marks. He's going to talk about what he's going to do to make America great again. And that really starts with restoring the southern border, restoring our economy, and restoring our place in the world.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.